Your name came up tonight. I wanted to understand how ordinary it was, because that's the part that undid me. Nobody announced it. There was no lull, no drum roll, no one of the ceremony a scene deserves when it's about to reopen you. We were 3 bottles into the evening, and Marcus was doing that thing he does where he tells a story he's told 100 times, and somewhere in the middle of it, reaching for a detail, he said your name, the way you had said the name of a street you used to live on. Just a marker, just geography. And the whole table kept eating. That's what I kept circling back to. The forks kept moving. Priya laughed at something on her phone. The candle between us guttered, and nobody fixed it. Your name landed in the middle of the table like a stone dropped into a pond, and I was the only one who felt the water move. I don't think I have said your name aloud in, 2 years? I have gotten so carefully I wrote around it when someone asks about the whole chapter of my life. I have learned to summarize it in a way that leaves you out entirely. The way you had photographed a room and just happened to crop the one chair where somebody dead. I got good at it. I was proud of how good I got. And Marcus, who has no idea, who was just trying to remember which summer we drove up to the lake, says your name like it costs nothing, and it cost me the rest of the night. Let me tell you what happened next, because I think you had find it funny. You always found me funny when I was suffering. Not cruelly. You just had this way of catching me in a feeling before I had admitted I was on in it, and name it, and the naming would make me laugh because there was nowhere left to hide. So, what happened next? I said very lightly, and I want you to appreciate the craftsmanship here. I said, "Oh, do you two still talk?" As if I were asking about the weather in a city I have never visited. As if my whole body had not just leaned forward without my permission. And Marcus said, "Not really," and shrugged, and I felt something in me both collapse and unclench at the same time. Relief and grief in the exact same breath, standing in the same doorway, refusing to let each other through. But then Priya looked up. Priya who misses nothing. Priya who has known me since we were both 22 and stupid and certain we had be fine. And she did not say anything at first. She just looked at me, and I looked back at her with a face I was very deliberately holding still, and she saw straight through it, the way she always has, and I watched her decide not to let it go. That's the part I came here to tell you. Everyone else at the table let your name pass through the room like a draft under a door. Priya would not let it go. She waited. She let Marcus finish his lake story. She let the plates get cleared, and then, when the two of us ended up in the kitchen, pretending look for a cork screw, she leaned against the counter and said very quietly, "You still think about them?" Not a question. She does not ask questions, she already knows the answer to. And I did the scene. You know the scene. I did the little laugh, the way of the hand, and God, no! That was a lifetime ago. I hadn't fully loaded. I have been rehearsing that exact denial for 2 years without knowing it, keeping it oiled, keeping it ready. And when the moment came, I delivered it flawlessly, and Priya just waited. She has the patience that is not patience at all. It's certainty wearing patience like a coat. And under her waiting, the whole performance fell apart in my hands. Because here is what I have never told anyone, and I am only telling you because you can't hear me, which is the only condition under which I have ever been fully honest with you. I don't think about you the way you had think. I don't lie awake replying the ending. The ending I have made my peace is with. The ending made sense. The ending in the cold light was probably even correct. That's not the part that stayed. What stayed in smaller than that? What stayed is Tuesday size. It's that I still reach for my phone when something absurd happens because for years you were the person I told absurd things to. Some man on the train arguing loudly with a pigeon. A sign spelled wrong in the way that makes the whole meaning collapse. My thumb finds your name before my brain remembers. And there is this half second, this tiny, humiliating half second where you are still the answer to the questions. Who would think this is as funny as I do? And then I remember, and I put the phone down, and the funny scene dies unwitnessed. And something about that feels like the actual loss. Not the big rooms we shared, the small ones nobody knew were rooms. I did not say all the Priya. I said about a tenth of it. But she is smart. She extrapolated and she put her hand on my arm and she said something I have been turning over ever since. She said, you know, it's allowed to still be true, even if it's over. I did not understand it in the kitchen. I understand it now. Sitting here, an hour after everyone left with the dishwashers running and my coat still on for some reason. I think I have spent 2 years believing that if I still felt the pull toward you, then I had not really let go, and if I had not let go, then all the work of moving on had been a liar. A stage set, a room photographed with the chair cropped out. I thought the feeling was evidence of failure. I thought a healed person would not flinch when a friend said your name over pasta. But that's not how it works, is it? That was never how any of it worked. You can be entirely, genuinely down and still carry the shape of someone, the way a glass keeps the shape of the water, even after you have poured it out. The way a coastline is defined by a tide that left. I am not waiting for you. Understand that. Wherever you are. I built a life you are not in, and I like it. Most days I love it. I have mornings so good they have embarrassed the version of me who thought I could not survive you. That's all true. And also, your name came up tonight. and I felt in my teeth, both at once in the same doorway. Nobody ever tells you that the two things live together. They sell you the clean version. You'll get over it. One day you'll hear the name and feel nothing. And I waited so long for that nothing to arrive there, I started to think there was something broken in me for still feeling something. There is nothing broken in me. That's what I figure out in that kitchen, with Priya refusing to let it go, holding my arms like she was keeping me from drifting. I'm not broken. I'm just a person who loved someone, and love does not fully evaporate, it changes state. It goes from a scene you are into a scene that's in you, and a scene that is you so going to make itself known sometimes. At a dinner, over a stranger's stories about a lake, and that's not a wound reopening. That is just proof you were real. That we were real. That I did not imagine the whole thing, which I'll admit this too, since you can't hear me. I sometimes worried I had. So when Priya would not drop it, when she stood there and made me feel the scene instead of letting me feel it, I wanted to be annoyed with you. And instead I felt something loosen, because she was not excavating you to hurt me. She was doing the opposite. She was refusing to let me pretend one more time that a person I loved was nobody. She was giving your name back its weight in a room where everyone else let it float off like nothing. And somehow that was a kindness. Somehow being made to feel it was gentle than being allowed to hide from it. I am going to take my coat off in a minute. I am going to turn off the kitchen light and go up to a life you are not part and never will be again. And it's a good life, and I chose it, and I had chose it again. That's not a question. It stopped being a question a long time ago. But before I do, while I have still got you here in this room, that is not room, this address to a person who is not listening. I want to say the thing I have been routing around for 2 years, not to get you back, not to reopen anything, just to say it once in the only place it's safe to say it, which is out loud to no one. I am glad it happened. Even the way it ended, even the version where I don't get to text you the man and the pigeon, I am glad. You were one of the great rooms of my life, and I don't want to keep cropping you out of the photograph, because the photograph is less true without you, and I'm tired of less true. Your name came up tonight, and for the first time when it did, I let it stay in the room instead of chasing it out. I let it sit there and be heavy and be real. I let one person who loves me refuse to let it go. And then I finished my wine and I picked up my coat and I came home to my own life, carrying you the way you are supposed to carry the people who met it, not as an open door, not as an egg to be fixed, but as a shape I once held, that held me back, that I get to keep now, quietly, without it costing me the evening. I don't need to hear this. That was never the point. I just needed to stop pretending your name was nothing. There, it's set. Now I can turn off the light.